Yala Sangha, welcome to day one of our 10 days in June. I'm going to try and record as many of these as I can outside. I've biked along to somewhere beautiful, only maybe 10 minutes biking from my house. So you hear the birds, you might hear the leaves. The sun is shining so beautifully. I've been saying to people in class this week, you know, the sun is always shining. It's the clouds that obscure our view. And what yoga says is that in us is that there's a sun, a peacefulness, a stillness and steadiness that is always there. But there's the clouds of our thoughts, the clouds of our life that obscure our lives from that stillness. And Indra Mohan, she says that yoga is a practice of subtraction, not addition, okay? So we're going to do a wee bit more challenging things in these 10 days, not super challenging. Maybe the challenge will be to do more repetitions of the movement. So see how you feel today. Don't do anything that doesn't feel good. We're going to begin, this might be the first time you've practiced for a while, so we're going to begin fairly slow and build up. And then each day we'll build a little more. But today we'll be doing some squatting and some strength through our upper body. And some balancing, okay? So enjoy your practice, bring yourself to lie on your back, bend your knees, let your feet come flat. Place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. And take a few moments to breathe slowly in and slowly out. Feel the ground underneath. Now if you're at home, this is obviously going to be quite even. Where I am just now, there's lots of lumps and bumps, but it feels nice. A little massage for my back. Let your hands rest by your sides. And as you inhale, slowly reach your arms up over your head, spread your fingers, open your armpits. And as you exhale, let your arms come back down by your sides. And repeat that a couple more times. Inhaling your arms up and over. Exhaling slowly back down. And one last time. Press your feet into the surface that they rest on. Try and get the whole of the foot pressing down, and as you inhale, gently let your hips rise, and as you exhale, let them slowly come down. Try that twice more. Inhale slowly up, a little bit higher maybe than you were the first time. Exhale slowly down. And one last time. After the next one, add everything together. So arms go up and over as you inhale, your hips rise. As you exhale, everything slowly drifts back down. Once or twice more. When your hips come to rest, bring your feet up off the floor, take your hands around your knees and gently rock from side to side. Massage your back against the floor. Reach your arms out wide, okay? And let your knees start to drift from side to side. So we're going to make this a little bit harder than just from side to side, unless that's what you really need to do. If you just need gentle movement, you can even have your feet on the floor as you make this movement. But if you want to start to lift your feet a little higher, you can have them a little higher. And the higher you lift your feet, the more strength that requires, okay? So the more you raise and extend through the lever, you might be able to bring your toes out toward your fingers. Taking them out to one side, back to the center. I'm on a slope, so one side is easy and one side is really hard. And then hug your knees towards your chest, taking your hips gently from side to side. Massage your back into the ground. Roll out to the side, push into the floor, and come up to a seated position that makes sense for you, okay? So there's a couple of movements that I want us to just kind of dial the movement in before we add it to our practice. So it's this movement, and drawing the elbows by your sides, okay? So everything's engaged. Draw the elbows by your sides, okay? Reaching out and coming to your sides, okay? And then there's this movement, hands over your head, and your elbows go wide. Your hands come just level with your head. Okay, so try these two movements a couple times. And when we come to all fours, we want to play with them. So quite often people end up, when they're trying this movement, when we do it from down dog, they end up doing this movement, okay? So when you think about really opening up your armpits and making this movement, okay? So let's switch to all fours. Let your hands come forward on your mat, your knees come towards the center, and rock your weight forwards and backwards. You might want to add some cat and cow to this. You might want to roll through your spine as you make the movement, coming forwards, coming backwards. See how this feels for you today. The next time you come forward, let your chest come over your hands, and that movement we made, where the elbows come by your sides, see if you can make that and then send your hips back towards your heels. Try that a couple more times, coming forward. And you can lower yourself as little or as much as you feel today. You can do this as many times as you want to do. This is sensible, obviously. We're not giving ourselves a big, massive workout to do. Maybe you can do this in your garden. And these 10 days, if you want to spread them over the month or do 10, 10, 10 over the month, feel free. Good. And then let your hips come back towards your heels, let your knees bend, your hips rest here. Good. It's a nice experience, like if you do have the chance to be outside with like this very unlevel ground. It's kind of challenging my practice today, okay? Bring your hands forward, tuck underneath your toes, let your hips drift back towards your heels, and open it up into down dog. This is where we're making the other movement with our arms. Remember when our arms went wide, our elbows went wide? So try that movement, taking your elbows wide, and then your hips go back. So really from the crown of your head to the hips, they don't really change their shape. We're doing all the work with the arms, okay? Letting them go wide. You might want to pause and have a look at the screen. So we're just getting a little bit stronger with this movement, building this into our practice this month. So these down dog push-ups. And then let your knees come down, have a wee rest. You can also do that with your knees on the ground, right? So if it feels too much weight to be doing it in down dog, do it with your knees on the ground, okay? Switch by pressing your hands into the floor to a squat position, okay? And take your squat for a little wander, okay? Taking it over to the side, taking it over to the other side. You can take it forwards, you can take it backwards, okay? Using the squat to get a little bit more mobile, a little more into your hips, a little more into your knees. And then if you want something underneath your heels, put something underneath your heels, push your palms together and come all the way up, okay? Take your feet wide to where it feels comfortable and sink your hips down, okay? And come up and down a few times. Try and resist the temptation to lean forward too much. So you're sinking your hips down, you're pushing up. The slower you do this, the slower you make any movement in these 10 days, the more you learn really, right? Because you kind of feel, oh, I'm relying on this muscle or that muscle or this group of muscles a bit more. Okay, give everything a good shake off. Both arms, both legs, get loose, roll through your shoulders. Let your toes point forward. Clasp your hands towards your chest. Take an inhale. As you exhale, push your palms out, tuck your chin in. Inhale, lift your arms all the way up over your head, reaching slightly from side to side. Reaching this way, reaching this way. Maybe looking up, underneath your armpit, looking up. Good. And then come to the center, release your arms, and again shake them off. Get nice and loose, roll through your shoulders. Any movements that occur to you when we're practicing this month, or these 10 days, or the full month if you're going to repeat them, then listen to your body, right? I know yoga teachers say that a lot, but what it means is just kind of tune in if you can. Just kind of feel, oh, this would feel quite nice, this would feel quite nice. Let your palms come together and let your heels slowly come up and slowly come down. Try that 2 or 3 more times. Heels go up, heels go down. Heels go up, heels go down. One last time. Heels up and down, okay? Take your feet a little bit wider. I'm going to get a little bit more mobility into movement. Slide your hands forward and take your hips from side to side. See how this feels for you. Keep your heel that you're moving towards on the floor, but lift the toes of the other side. For some of you who can squat really deeply, your hips will be quite close to your heel. Okay. Come to the other side, point your toes up, and then start to let your heel lift. And you can move this from side to side. You're opening up the inside this leg, maybe even pointing the toes backwards. And then try that on the other side. Pointing your toes backwards, okay? And you can start to move this from side to side without your hands if you feel okay. Good. Nice. Come into the center and let your hands rest on the floor. Slide your feet a little bit wider. Have your hands maybe off your mat if you want, or your feet backwards towards the back of your mat, and shift your weight forwards and backwards here. Over your hands, into your heels. Over your hands, into your heels. Good. If you feel okay, you can take a book or some cushions and place that down, maybe let your head rest on it. So you just slowly lower your head. Let it rest on a book or something. If you can drop your elbows towards the ground, you can drop your elbows towards the ground. This is kind of trial and error. Just play with this, getting a little bit lower. If you can get your hands back and your head down to the ground, you can let your hands come back and your head come down to the ground. And then let your head come up and take your hands forward into a wide leg down dog, okay? So you're reaching your fingers out in front, opening through your armpits. Your legs are wide, your body's long. Sending your hips back. And then walk your hands back. And we're going to take a hop into a squat from here. So hopping into a squat, and let your elbows rest on your knees, and your knees go from side to side, okay? So we're not going to do too much more today. We're going to try for one connection, like just working with our mobility, okay? So maybe a little wider with your squat. Bring your elbow inside one leg. Begin with whichever side you feel like. Reach your hand forward, okay? Sweep it all the way around and then bend your elbow so your hand comes behind your back or behind your thigh. Inhale, reach up with your other hand. Exhale, bring it back. See if you can interconnect your fingers and look up. Ish. Got the sun shining on my face. Gently release that. So if you can, you're getting a connection like that. Don't worry if you don't, okay? Let's try the other side. Let your arm come inside. Reach it forward. Sweep it all the way back and round. Bend your elbow. Inhale up with your other hand. Exhale, bring it behind you. Interlace the fingers or connect the fingers. And then from there, see if you can turn and look up. This unsteady ground. And then release, okay? Take your hands forward and just put a bit of weight through them, okay? We will try hand balance this series. Maybe a couple hand balances, we'll see. I might need slightly flatter ground than this to do hand balances. Push into the floor. We'll do one single leg balance, okay? So give your legs a wee shake off. Your arms a shake off. Take your weight through your left foot. Draw your right leg slowly up. Hug your knee. See if you can give it a wee kiss. And then release, okay? Try the other side. Take your weight through your right foot. Bring your left foot up. Take your hand around your knee. See if you can give it a wee kiss. And a shake off. Okay, good. Let's see if you can sit down without using your hands. Okay. If you do get the chance, with or without me, it's totally fine on this channel, try and get outside to practice, okay? There's something about being in the air and being closer to the ground. It feels like your body responds in a more positive way than when we're in studios sometimes, okay? So find a comfortable seat that makes sense for you. If you'd rather lie on your back, and point your fingers toward your heart. And let your breath become slower and smoother as we get here. Let your shoulders relax, the muscles of your face relax. One of the tools that we can use with the breath is to add a gentle humming sound to the exhale. Okay, so you might take your inhale, and as you exhale, make a gentle humming sound, a gentle and try that a couple more times. A slow inhale, and a gentle humming sound on exhale. Making it smooth and slow and steady. If you've got time, let yourself come to lie down on your back. If it's the morning that you're practicing, then let yourself become prepared to go into your day peacefully, to be centered. If it's the evening, then let the stillness and quietness carry you to a peaceful sleep. If you've got time to rest more, rest more. If you want to move your fingers, start to move your toes. If you want to lengthen in any way, you can lengthen. If you want to hug your knees, you can hug your knees. Any movements that feel good for you. If you want to lie on your side or eventually make your way to a seated position, then do that. Otherwise, let's bring it together. Let's take our final few breaths of our practice, taking this stillness and quietness into our day or into our sleep. Thank you for your practice. I'm excited to do these 10 days to try and find locations that are still enough and peaceful enough and where there's no people that we can do this together. Yeah, I like this little spot actually. I may come back here. So thank you for your practice and be kind to yourself. Really, it really matters that we're kind to ourselves. So be kind to yourself, be kind to those you come across today. Thank you, everybody.